Hi, I'm Fawn,
Lelli.
and you're listening to Lelli and Fawn Growing Through It. So, this podcast is going to be a lot about self growth and our journeys. We're sharing those with you so that if you are in the spots that we used to be in, that hopefully you can have a little more help than we did. Because I know that I would have liked a lot of help during my journey, and when I started getting help and helping myself, I want to share that with other people. What about you, Lynn?
Absolutely. And, going through what we went through, especially, at such a young age, we were absolutely alone and we didn't get the support that we needed. And so that left us feeling ultra alone, even
Mm-hmm.
going into adulthood. And
Mm-hmm.
so just knowing that you're not alone, would have helped us,
Well,
exponentially. So
and we talk about it so much of how if we weren't twins, like we
yeah,
probably would have ended up in a way worse spot because we at least had
way
each other.
worse.
Even in those times that we didn't we were kind of estranged for a while, actually. I think
Very much
you
so.
would call it that. Even that being said, like the times that we did come together and we did, at least knowing that someone else has experienced at least the same
Yeah.
things as you. You know you're not alone. Even if you're not talking to that person, you know that there's somebody else out there that has
Yeah.
experienced the same thing
Because
as
we
you.
were mostly nearby each
Mhm.
other, but we just hated each other
Mhm.
basically for a very long time.
Well, Lynn, so this is getting to know
So
you.
a little bit of background on me. It's gonna sound really similar start to yeah, to both of our journeys kind of start out the same. We were
Same
severely
womb.
neglected. Yeah, same womb. Severely neglected as children. And growing up, things were hard. We were bullied a lot in school. We weren't taught to brush our teeth or to wash our hair. We never had clean clothes or anything like that. I don't really remember being told, like, I love you. Do you remember anyone ever telling you that they loved you?
Maybe like a couple times.
Yeah. So severely malnourished, severely
Nurtured.
undervalued, I
Yeah,
guess.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
undernurtured. So that brought in, I didn't realize it at the time, but a lot of self-worth issues.
Cool.
And I'm still working on those today. I've
Same.
gotten a lot better about it. But that's really where, the mindset work comes in that we both talk about.
Hard.
And yeah. So that's, currently, what I'm working on. Then it really boiled over a lot into my relationships, like romantic relationships as an adult. The abuses that I went through also rolled over into my adult life. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm realizing how it did affect me through those times and just stopping the cycle like now and realizing. So,
Self-awareness is key.
yeah, yeah.
As long when you start realizing, like when you start paying attention to how your
Mhm.
actions like affect your reality. One second.
Mhm.
Uno momento. So for me, very similar. Yes, definitely. I remember being neglected. I remember like the first time I ever felt like trauma per se. And like a really big emotion. I think we were like either kindergarten or first grade because it was in the Oak Terrace apartment, and
Okay.
mom was doing something. Do you remember when she was like, I have a second personality. Her name was like Brittany or whatever, and it's like a party girl. I remember being like, do you remember that neighbor that we had? That was like
Franny.
also was it? No, not Franny. It was like a younger party person like next door, and mom had started hanging out
Okay.
with that woman.
I think so. The
Um,
daughter,
yeah,
yeah, the
something like
daughter that
that.
was around our age.
Yeah, something like that. And she was like hanging out with that person in the kitchen and just completely ignoring us. I really had wanted her attention at that point. And this isn't like traumatic as a lot of our things goes, but it's just like the first time I remember my heart being broken. Like
Oh.
because I wanted her attention so bad and she kept ignoring me, and then finally something just snapped at me. I'm like, "You don't love me." And I was like crying down the stairs and my heart was just like
Oh
broken. So I feel like that's the first like
no.
actual trauma that I felt. It's weird how accidentally you can traumatize kids. Honestly, even if you're the best parent in the world, you're still gonna traumatize them a little bit. Like there's no way
Yeah.
around it. But that was
Yeah.
the first like non-traumatizing like thing I can remember that was actually like like,
Wow.
I could feel it altering, like, my brain chemistry, do you know what I
You
mean?
wanna know mine?
Yeah.
It was so we were, like had been watching, like, CSI or whatever, and I really
Mhm.
had wanted to be, like, a forensic anthropologist like Bones, like, I thought that
Mhm.
was, like, the
I think I remember
coolest
that a little
job
bit.
ever, yeah,
It was pretty
and
cool.
so we were writing this we had to, like, write a story in class or whatever and, like, make a little book, and it was, like, 5th grade, and I remember
Was it that
writing
crazy book that you wrote about a fucking someone getting kidnapped? I remember that, dude, that was good. That was a good little it was
Yeah,
crazy, but, like,
so
why though?
I don't so I had written something about, like, a book about, like, somebody getting kidnapped in 5th grade. It was, like I remember it being about, like, somebody, like, getting kidnapped in a trunk. But I was going off of, like, CSI, like,
CSI.
crime shows, like,
Yeah.
something like that.
No, it was
And I
perfect.
yeah, and I remember, like, dad, like, reading it, and he got mad,
Oh,
and he was
really?
like yeah, and he was like, "You're fucking crazy just like your mom."
Oh, I thought I remembered him saying it was good. Maybe it was mom that said it was good.
Maybe, I
I
mean
remember somebody being you I remember you being praised by somebody for the
Really?
creativity
I
of it.
don't
I
remember
thought it was
that.
dad. Are you
No, he
sure?
said,
I don't wanna gaslight
I
you, but, like
I'm positive. He yelled at me, "You're fucking crazy just like your mom."
That's a funny side note. That's crazy. Okay, so back to my journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll start no, you're good. This is what a podcast is for. You know what I mean? So, okay, so I'll start over. So, yes, being, like, very neglected. Well, our dad never really lived with our mom that we can remember. He was living up at my grandma's house working at the mill upriver. And I remember growing up just random traumatizing situations of having to leave the house. My dad being drunk, they were like threw a knife at each other or something. And I think that was even before, I can't remember if that was Oak Terrace or 34th. Those
No,
are
that was
kind of like the same.
34th. I
I don't know
remember
if
him
that
getting
was 34.
arrested at one
Was
point.
34 first or Oak
Yeah,
Terrace was first?
we moved from 34 to Ontario.
To Oak Terrace. So yeah, even before Oak Terrace then. Yeah, because we're in
Yeah, there was
preschool in
traumatizing
34.
stuff. There was traumatizing stuff on
Uh
34th Street.
yeah, I feel like this whole entire podcast is just gonna have a trigger warning with every single
Yeah, we should.
episode because
We should.
there's no way around it. Like trauma's probably gonna come
It's
up
just
in
what it is. Yeah.
every single episode.
It's just what it is,
That's what is what
but
it is.
that's what
Okay.
we're doing, like,
Yeah.
you have the trauma, you heal
Yeah.
from
Oh my
it,
gosh,
what
dude.
we do.
I made a TikTok on TikTok, and it was like talking about how we had to have a code to get ourselves out of school. Like the adult had to come give a
Yeah,
code, and it was SpongeBob, right?
yeah.
And so somebody commented, is like, mine was avocado dip, and I was like, that's so funny. That's so funny, dude. I was like, that's a good one. I know. I was like, I fucking love TikTok. It's where my traumatized besties are. Follow our TikTok, Lelli and Fawn, growing through it. Plugs always, every time you think about it. Okay, so for realsies. So yeah, getting back to that. So then our dad had went to rehab, the Alcoholics no, for Serenity
Yeah,
Lane.
Serenity Lane.
Serenity Lane in Eugene. And so that's when we moved to a separate town because his halfway house was in Coos Bay. And from there, we lived with our dad because my mom started doing more traumatizing stuff. That's when she was kind of going off the deep end. So the first like 6 years, mom was dependable. The other like 8 through 12, dad was more dependable. And then after 12, it just all goes to shit. All goes
Right,
to shit.
so, like, mom was decent
Mm-hmm.
till 6,
Then dad was.
then dad was decent for, like, maybe 2, 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then they both were just
Bad.
bad.
So, but I remember about being, how we weren't really taught how to clean ourselves and things. And so I remember them saying, like, oh, you need to wash your hair or whatever. But they wouldn't really sit you down and be like, listen, girly pop, you are going to get made fun of. Like, I'm just being real with you. Like,
Right.
if I ever have kids and that kind of stuff is happening, like, I'm just going to sit them down and tell them, like, listen, like, that's your choice, but people are going to make fun of you. And this is going to be the repercussions of your actions. And I just want you to, like, make the right choice for your
Well,
own well-being.
being a mom now, like, I take my son step by step and
Mhm.
teach him the ways.
Yeah,
Like,
there's like, go get in the shower,
do
figure it
this,
out.
do that. Yeah, do this, do this, do this, do this. And we go step by step. And I say, if you don't do this, it's gonna smell bad. Like, I give him the consequences of this is what we do and why. Like, that's what we do.
Okay, so
So,
then more of the journey. So basically, Yeah, that gave me a lot of the same issues with self-worth. There's more in there that we can cover at a later time, like different interpersonal relationships with different stepmoms and different ways of just a lot. There's a lot all in between there. That's
Hmm.
why we're here in the first place. But then going into adulthood was had like raging undiagnosed CPTSD, and it was controlling my every actions and my every thought. And I was so tired, and I just wanted not to, I was never ever like schmooshidal, but it was like, when is this gonna end? Not my life, but like these burdens that I'm carrying that make my
Yeah,
life so hard. And so like I could barely get out of bed. There was times where I wouldn't leave bed for weeks.
same. I was the same way, so depressed for so long, like literally work, eat, sleep. And I was like in such a victim. I like at that point in my life, like I was like it was survival, like literally every second of every day, all my energy just went into surviving. And I felt for so long like, why has all this terrible stuff happened to me? Like I have to work so much harder than everybody else just to do one simple task. Like everything is so hard all the fucking time. Like why is it like this? Like what have I done to deserve this? Like all I'm trying to do is like my best, and like both I know both of us felt like that for
A long time.
so long, so
Yeah.
long.
So I was saying what inspired us to make the podcast was firstly like me kind of getting into social media and our spiritual awakenings. And so we both feel the calling to help people, and this is the way that we feel called to do so when we're finally both at a spot where we can do this and create a space, because like we said earlier too, we want to help people, and we know that there's people that have gone through things like this that may need to hear these, know that they are not alone, and hear how we like overcame those situations. Oh yes, my story first. So some of my main things that I have struggled with is like body image, mental health, and just navigating the world's like expectations of me in regards to my mental health and things like that. So I had always been very skinny because we were like malnourished, and then when I could start feeding myself, I gained a lot of weight, and that's where like I got really insecure, and I had to start on like a body positivity, body love journey, because we were born in 1995, height of diet skinny culture, and so I had never had to worry about whether I had like the body or not, because I was so malnourished that I was like the ideal expected body type of a woman anyway. So then when I gained weight, I just really had to learn how to accept that, and I wasn't okay with it for a long time. And in between all that, my mental health, navigating my CPTSD, I also have major depressive disorder, which is just like hella depression, like bad depression, which stopped me from moving my body a lot of the times. And now I am also diagnosed with inattentive ADHD, which has paid like a really big part in my like functioning of life as well. So basically, like during the tough times before, how I coped is I would just lay in bed and not do anything. I would just scroll on my phone and just like zone out like the entire world. Like if I was not at work, I was in bed sleeping or on my phone. And then more like later when I'm healing, I've definitely found better coping mechanisms. Just little by little, you learn how to take more shit, I guess. You learn how to deal with more shit just the more that you heal. So basically, what really changed the game for me was just paying attention to my thoughts. Once I started noticing what I was actually thinking and how it was affecting the actions that I took outwardly, that just really helped me, like, oh, I don't like this thought that I'm having, or how it literally made me act. Like, that's weird. Why am I letting this thought control my body? And so just realizing like the way that I was talking to myself was not nice. It was the way that the adults in my childhood had talked to me my whole entire life, which was not nice. And it really did those like the self-worth issues, like, oh, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, just a super negative mindset. Like nothing I thought had a positive spin on it. It was all woe is me. Like one of the other advices too that I have, if you're still one of those people that says, oh fuck my life, stop fucking doing that, because that's the kind of shit that will perpetuate it into existence. So I stopped saying like, oh, I hate my life. ugh, I hate my life. Oh, fuck my life. Ugh, this sucks. Like,
Add really quick to like self-deprecating humor.
yeah,
I used to
stop.
be the queen
Mm-hmm.
of that.
I call myself a dumb bitch.
Stop.
Literally, one of my
Yeah,
usernames
all the
before
time.
was dumb bitch, like of a
Yeah,
social media.
yeah. Like stop that shit.
Yeah,
Like it really makes a difference.
yeah. Dum. And then today I have like more challenging doing stuff today that past me would have never even thought. Like I'm literally renovating my house right now, moving houses to sell. I literally just went in front of Oregon senators and representatives to advocate for disability rights. I know it's crazy, and I'm doing it again in front of a much larger crowd
You
on the six.
are? Don't
Yeah,
tell me that. Oh my
yeah, it's like the ODHS Legislative Roadshow, and my Tiffany, the director of my company, goes, "It's in front of a lot more people," and I'm like, "Okay." I
God. That's so
already gave it once.
exciting.
But my side note, really quick, my boss Beth, my manager above Maggie, she's like, "Oh, Leanne, I saw your thing." She's like, "I watched the whole thing, and during your speech, like yours was by far the best," and it was, and I knew it was gonna be. Like, no offense to the other
Yeah.
people, they're all advocating there, but it's like I know that my speech
Yeah.
was really good, and I served it good.
Yeah.
She's like, "Dude, I noticed like they were actually paying attention to you. Like they were nodding their heads and they were like the most engaged with you that they were out of anybody." And I was like, "I know, I fucking saw that because I would look at them. I was like,
Yeah. Eye contact.
yeah." I'm like crazy as I was practicing my speech at work, and Maggie's like, "You got the crazy eyes. Calm down." I'm like, "Okay." So
That's
I'll
so
get crazy.
cool. That's so
Okay.
exciting. My cheeks are
Anyway,
hurting. I'm so
yeah.
happy for you.
So basically, how I cope with that today is I don't know, I can handle a lot more. You know what I mean? So it seems like I have to like cope less. But when
Yeah.
there
Well,
is,
you've worked up to it too, like baby steps.
yeah,
Like
it's baby step.
it's taken you a long time to get here, and you
Hmm.
have worked so hard, and you've taken the necessary steps,
Hmm.
and you've rocked it over these last,
Couple
years.
years, yeah. And yeah, so basically it's just I like listen to my body. So it's like whatever my body needs and I use my intuition is what I will do, and that's how I cope basically. So it's like whatever I feel called to do, that's what I'm gonna do, whether that's take a shower, eat a snack, be on my phone for a bit, take a nap. Did I say take a nap already? No, take a nap. Just stuff like that. Says I know like if my body's going through enough stress, my body's gonna tell me what it needs to regulate itself and to make itself feel better. So I just try to
Mhm.
follow that. But Lelly's story now. Here you go.
So my experiences with self-doubt, confidence, and body image, very similar experience to Fawn. We grew up very malnourished. We had very similar, body types. We were very small, skinny, if you will.
Mhm. I don't even
Um,
like that word anymore, honestly.
yeah, me either. But that, I mean, that's
That's what it
what it
is.
was. We
Yeah.
didn't have a choice
Mhm.
about it. It wasn't my choice. And when we got older, we were able to fend for ourselves a little bit more. Of course, we put on the weight. And, I honestly developed unhealthy relationships with food about it
Me too.
because now I could feed myself and I had this fear of, oh, when's the next time I'm gonna be able to get food now? Like it was just this like fear of I have to eat as much as I can now because like I don't know when the next time is that I'm gonna like even though I knew like I could fend for myself now, like I still had that in the back of my mind, like when is this gonna end? And so, that kind of led to some disordered eating habits. And I did end up with body image issues as well. I did not do good at accepting my new body at all. And that also had a lot to do with, my body image issues for a long time. Long time I struggled with body image issues. I still struggle with it today sometimes, but I have a lot more love for my body now than I have ever had in the past.
Hmm.
So, it's something that I'm still working on, but I have come a very, very, very long way, and I'm proud of how far I've come with
Hmm.
it. As for my mental health journey, as we stated previously. I was very much victim mindset. Why does everything bad always happen to me? My life sucks. It's never going to get better. Things are terrible. Sleeping all the time, eating, and I had no concept of what healthy, that's
Relative.
it's yeah, relative.
What was healthy for you?
I had no idea what was going to be good for my own body in terms of like nutrition and stuff like that. Like, I just wasn't aware. I was never taught those kinds of things. We didn't have any food growing up. We weren't taught those types of things. So I was just shoveling in whatever was quick and easy and, felt good at the time, but wasn't giving my body the nutrition that I needed.
Yeah, we're both really into like the instant gratification, and that's something I still struggle with. Something I still struggle with as well. Yeah.
And when I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about like getting 3 large extra sweet Dutch Bros a day.
Do you remember when we went around so many times that they ended up giving us a free one?
No.
It was like the owner was there in Florence, and we had gone, I think it was our 4th time that day, and he's like, "Hey guys," and we're like, "Hey." It's like, this one's on the house.
Oh, yeah, so just stuff like that. But I mean, in terms of mental health, like, it took a long time to get it together. Actually, trigger warning, I had to have some substance abuse in order to snap and say, I need some help. And so, I got on some mental health medication after that. Things were not, I mean, they got better, but they were not golden after that. Like, it was not an instant fix. 20 got clean from my little substance abuse kick that I had and started mental health medication, and that was the beginning of everything. I didn't have my spiritual awakening till like maybe a year and a half later. And that's when everything really, really changed.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So in terms of mental health, it really took hitting like, trigger warning again, schmoosh like
ideation.
If I don't change, like, I'm gonna die. So,
in my own house. Sorry, I think that was just a random vocal stem. My bad. I was thinking. I just remembered
that's off of
Wanderlust.
Oh god, that's such a good movie.
Do you know that if you smile enough, your brain can trick itself into thinking it's happy?
That's such a good movie.
I think I have packages on the way, and then I was like, oh, I need to check my shipping. I think all my huge freaking clothes are supposed to get continued.
So, all those struggles impacted my personal life, career, and self-worth in very, very major ways. I would say, like, my life was complete trash, and I would say until about 3 years ago. Even with my medication, even with my spiritual awakening, like, yes, I was on the rise to bigger and better things, but until I got my little 1-bedroom apartment and was able to live by myself with my son, like, my life was not good. So,
a lot of like relying on other people.
Yeah, and that's I mean, it's what I had to do
because we had to cling on to.
Yeah, it's what I had to do to get where I am today, and I'm so grateful for those experiences. But I learned a lot. So another thing that's helped. So obviously therapy.
That's a big one.
Big one
for me too.
Big one. I did have a therapist, and he was my first therapist coming out of everything
because he was trying to push his religion on you.
Obviously, I'm spiritual, and I did like him. He did give me some new perspectives, and he was a nice, nice man. He was a nice man, and he had some good advice. But when you're turning my therapy session into a Bible study and telling me like every time I tried to talk about like something spiritual that happened to me or like something like that, like you would tell me you would pray for me or like you hope that I turn Christian so I don't go to hell, like we have a problem. Yeah, like
What?
he would say stuff like, "I hope that, you see, like, things differently," like, basically telling me, like,
Yeah, that's not good.
because I would talk about, like, me wanting to, like, explore
Tarot.
mediumship or
Yeah.
yeah, or the tarot or, like, me, I don't know. So, just as a reflection, like, something I wish I knew back then is, like, things will get better, and when I was in, like, my deepest, darkest moments, like, I just wish that I saw a way out, but I know, like, it's hard, but I know I had to go through those experiences to yeah, like, yeah, I had to go through those experiences to, be the person that I am now, and it sucks, and anyone going through those tough experiences that you can't see a way out, like, I know you don't wanna hear that. It's, like, the
Mhm.
last thing you wanna hear because 'cause I've been there, but, it's just, like
It'll come. It's just baby
yeah,
steps.
'cause yeah, you gotta start the smallest little nugget that you can.
So basically, like mentally and emotionally right now, I am a lot farther than I have been. I can like regulate my emotions pretty well. I can regulate my actions most of the time. You know, growth is a continuous process. And it does take years and it never really ends. But in that same spirit, don't get stuck in the loop of continuously feeling like you have to grow. Like you're allowed to rest, you're allowed to love yourself as you are right now because that's actually one of the biggest things about it is that we have to learn to love ourselves no matter where in the growth process that we are. Because if we don't love ourselves now, just because if you think in a year you're going to be 100 times better, it doesn't mean you're going to love yourself then either. It has to start like now, and no matter what where you're at, no matter if you're in the worst place of your life, that self love is going to be one of your best friends.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that this morning actually about how, you can't hate yourself into change,
Mhm.
like it sounds weird, but it can kind of start something. Like it can be like people hit rock bottom all the time, right? And like that's their motivation to like start something, but like it's not sustainable. Like you have to nurture your seed, like you can't hate something into change. Like you have to love yourself into growth. And that's also like where I'm at right now, mentally and emotionally. Like I've come so far in so many different areas of my life. There are some things that I'm struggling with that I can't really legally talk about because of confidentiality issues. And
You're doing great though.
thank you. Sometimes, like, I have guilt about that. Like, I am doing so great in like these certain aspects of my life, but I'm still struggling in these areas. But I have to remind myself, like, it's okay to be struggling and doing good at the same time. Like,
Mhm.
that two things can be true at once. Like, it's not all rainbows and kittens all the time, and just because you have successes in one like certain areas doesn't mean that
You're
isn't
suddenly where you want to
yeah,
be.
exactly. So, I'm doing really good in a lot of ways, and then there's other ways where I'm still working on things. So, it's not linear by any means.
Yeah, something I'm still working on too is definitely like money mindset and
Mhm.
um it honestly still self-worthiness too when it comes to like
Yeah.
deserving my like social media audience and things like
Yeah.
that. Like am I really like worthy of being in the spotlight,
Pause,
like
please.
that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up, but in future episodes, we'll be diving into topics like self love practices, overcoming fear of failure, building confidence, and more. Trust us, we're learning right alongside you. We're all growing through something, and you are not alone. Just remember that. Wherever you're listening to this, I just want you to think about your own journey and what growth means to you. Please subscribe, review, and share the podcast if you connected with this story. Follow us on social media on our Instagram and our TikTok at Lelli and Fawn at Lelli and Fawn _, growing through it, and let us know what topics that you want to hear next. Okay, you can do the sign. All right, we'll go off of here. I need to go get dressed.